Welcome to the Ave SPQR Agoge for Generals in Training to lead the Ave SPQR Empire's great legions. In your previous lesson, we covered the grand strategy of planning a campaign and preparing your state. With your state now prepared for war, from what you learned in the previous lesson, in this lesson we can cover the strategy during the campaign. Before I begin, if you enjoy these videos I make, then you can subscribe if you want to, as every subscriber we get increases the power of our glorious empire. Anyway, these pathetic subscription appeals are becoming more and more common, and I am becoming more and more disgraceful, so I should probably begin with the important part of the video. I'll firstly explain the difference between tactics and strategy, and then I will explain the best ways of strategically outmaneuvering your opponents and forcing them to do battle on your terms. By the way, if there are any examples of battles I mention here that you don't know, you can do extra research after the video, as there's not time to cover them all in detail here. But I'll try not to use too many obscure examples. As a general, it's very important for you to know the difference between strategy and tactics, as many new generals may often get confused by this important difference. Strategy is a large-scale, long-term plan for how you will execute a whole campaign, or how you will conduct affairs before you ever meet your opponents on the battlefield. Tactics, however, are small-scale maneuvers which give you an advantage, or sometimes even a complete victory, in a battle. In short, strategy wins wars, tactics win battles. For example, this video is going to be about strategy, as it's what you can do before the battle itself. Last video was about grand strategy, which isn't really a technical term, but the one I would use to describe the running of a whole state, as opposed to running a whole campaign. There are a few ways you can sway events in your favour before a battle even begins. A crucial one of these is fighting a battle on your chosen terrain. As a general rule, if you have a massive cavalry or numerical superiority, try to force your opponents to fight in very open terrain, as you can outmaneuver them with your cavalry or outflank them. If you're numerically inferior or have cavalry inferiority, then you want a closed space where your enemy cannot outflank you, so that their numerical or cavalry superiority cannot have full advantage over you. The cliche example of this is the Spartans at Thermopylae. Another strategy, when you are numerically inferior, is to force your enemy to advance into unknown terrain, or heavily forested or mountainous terrain. This was the genius strategy devised by Arminius against the Romans at Teutoburg, where he ambushed the Romans in a forest in Germania, killing many of their legions completely. Now, you might be thinking, it's all very well for you to tell us where the best place is to fight, but what about if our enemy refuses to fight us on a nice favourable terrain? Well, if this occurs, there are a few ways that you can draw your enemy in. If you are numerically superior, then besiege an important city. This may force your opponent to fight you, or risk losing a key city in a defensive area. A great example of this done well was Caesar forcing Vercingetorix to fight him at Alesia. If you are numerically inferior, then threaten their supply lines, using small raiding parties to get behind enemy positions and damage their supply. This will mean that their campaign has a short time limit, as they may start to run out of food. They may retreat at once, giving you a victory, or try to get a decisive battle with you to force you to sue for peace, at which point you have an advantage and you can lure their army in to wherever you want in your terrain and attempt battle on whatever land you wish. If your enemy has many troops, you can try to force them to split up into smaller groups so that you can fight each of their split up armies and gain local superiority of numbers in every battle. A great example of this being used to perfection was Heraclius, absolutely destroying many great Sassanid Persian generals using this defeat in detail strategy. Anyway, this concludes our video on how you can get yourself a strategic advantage before a battle even begins. In my next video, I'll cover the detailed tactics you need in order to win individual battles as a great general. For now, Valete et Ave SPQR.